Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tour Pro Talks. I'm Genevieve White, copywriter and coach, and I'm joined today by Martin Rosenberg, the founder of Overseas Info TV. That's a video review site for promoting direct bookings. So, thank you so much for joining me today, Martin. Welcome to Tour Pro Talks.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for asking me.
Oh, it's really lovely to. I feel like I know you quite well because we've interacted on LinkedIn for quite a while, so it's really nice
Yeah.
to finally have you on the show. And hello everybody as well who's watching. Thanks very much, and if you're watching on replay, hello as well. Do please feel free to say hello. In the comments and say hi to Martin, and if you've got any questions for Martin, I'm sure he'll be delighted to answer them. But
No,
for now,
excellent.
let's get on with the questions. So first of all, as I said, Martin is the founder of Overseas Info TV. Martin, can you maybe just start off by telling everybody what Overseas Info TV is, if anyone's not sure?
Yeah, it's evolved into its current format from the original idea that we had a few years ago, but it's evolved into what can be best be described as a, an OTA or an online travel agency. In much the same way as some of the big names that people are used to, like Booking, TripAdvisor, Expedia, people like that. And we designed the site in its current format to make it comfortable for people to be able to do a search as they would do on platforms that they're used to. Um, and that's how we really started it off. The difference being that we want to try to encourage people to book direct with the people who are on the site instead of booking through us or a third party and having to pay massive commissions.
So how would it work in practice? So say I am a tour guide in Edinburgh and I want to promote my services on Overseas Info TV. How do I go about doing it?
Well, there's two ways that you can do it. We have an option for people to post whatever they want for free. Uh, that is really mainly for people who have been on a trip, for example, and are writing or giving a review of what they've actually done. However, what we've discovered is also some tour guides and tour people want to actually just put themselves on there. So they can sign up, they can put on some videos, they can put on some photographs, but they can't make mention on the platform of how to get in contact with them. Um, so as a tour guide advertising without paying any money for it, it's basically it's a rough. This is who I am and this is what I do. How you find me is up to you, and you're probably going to have to go through Google to do that. What we have done though is created uh, what we call a sponsored ad. So if people pay for a sponsored ad, everything they upload will actually link direct through to their website. So if I'm looking, for example, let's say Edinburgh, tour guide in Edinburgh, I can go into the platform, type in tour guides Edinburgh, and options will come up. Um, the first options that will come up will be our sponsored advertisers because obviously we've got to look after them. And if there's a video up there or if there's somebody advertising, they can click on that, see what they're doing from the videos, learn a bit more about what it is that they're offering, some photographs as well, possibly. And if there's an interest there, it will say there's a little box that will say visit sponsor. So you click on that and it takes them directly through to the website, whether it's a tour guide, whether it's a hotel, whether it's a theme park, whatever it happens to be. Um, so you can get there's only a limit to what people can put up, on an advertising site, but hopefully their own websites will give full information. Um,
Mhm.
so let's take the tour guide in Edinburgh, which we started with. Um, I'm trying to think if for Edinburgh, they wanted to walk down the Royal Mile and get some guidance, from what's possible there. If somebody's putting something up there, yeah, that's interesting for me. I want to know more, and I maybe even want to book. So they click on the visit sponsor part. Uh, Takes them through to the website. They go through the whole scenario of what's on offer. Yes, I like it. Yes, the price is right. Book. Finished.
Yeah. So,
You know,
I mean, yes, being a sponsor is obviously a very, seamless way to get people to use your services because they can find you
oh,
easily and so
absolutely.
forth.
I mean, say one or two people of that, you'll put something up there, onto the site without going for the sponsored ad. That's fine. I mean, we don't have an issue with that. Uh,
Mhm,
but when you've looked and you want to know how to book, you've then got to do a Google search or whatever searches else you want to do. There's a very high probability with the dominance of the big tour operators, or the online tour operators, that you will be pushed into their uh, website to make the booking, as opposed to being directed through to the actual owner of the property, or the tour itself. So you might get it, but you're not going to get all the financial benefit that you would necessarily have got had the book direct with you.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see how that could definitely be advantageous. I mean, I suppose as well, you could. I'm not trying to, yeah, get people watching to circumvent your, sponsorship
Sure.
option. But I suppose also people, if people are always taking, like, tourists and travelers are always taking videos, so you could get, the people who come on your tours, if you notice them taking a video of you doing your thing, then they could then come and post it as travelers on Overseas Info TV, and that could be a way of getting some publicity for you as well, couldn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, any
Mhm.
mention that's made, we quite clearly state, that one or two people in the early days thought would try to be clever. I can't think of a name, and it would be unkind to say any specific name. But let's say tourprotalks.com, instead of putting Tour Pro Talks with a dot and a com, they write out the dot and the com, but it's pretty obvious what they're trying to do. And we make it quite obvious that if you want to try to be clever like that, sorry, it's coming down.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair enough. Let's talk about video a little bit more broadly now. To Overseas Info TV's video platform, why do you think that video is what are the advantages of video when it comes to travel marketing?
So much. I mean, when I first came up with the idea for overseasinfo.tv, it was primarily I'd moved to Turkey, and a lot of my friends came over here for holidays, and all of them said the exact same thing. We didn't know what to expect, but this is 10 times better. And I thought, Turkey itself at that point, this is probably 2012 or 11, it wasn't as well known as it is now. Um, so people had heard of the country, they were slowly starting to come, but there was no real awareness of what there was there. Um, and this partly gave me the idea, for having video. Plus, I'd also traveled a lot in my lifetime. Uh, and if you're looking for somewhere different to go, or if you're looking for something a bit more unusual, looking at photographs, reading story, copy about it, and forgive me because I know you're a copywriter. The copy tells a story, the photographs tells more of a story, but video tells everything. Um, and it's no different to, as a boy, we used to sit and watch television, and the adverts come on, that told the story, as opposed to the newspaper ad, with just a photograph. Um, and I thought, there's so much to see and so much to do, around the world. People they haven't, maybe they've heard of something, but they want to know a little bit more about before taking the plunge to actually booking and going. And if you've got video, why not? And if I'm very honest with you, I'm very surprised that, I mean, this idea came to me, I think it was at 210, 212, thereabouts. We had to shelve it for a number of years, primarily because we couldn't afford to take it to the next level. Excuse me, at the time. And in that intervening period, nobody really picked up on video. The only place that's picked up on video is in social media. And social media
Mhm,
is full of holiday videos.
mhm,
But
mhm.
it's people
Yeah,
who are posting, well, this is where I went, this is what I did. Yeah, oh, that was nice, that was nice. It's gone. Here,
yeah.
hopefully, it lives on the platform, for now and evermore, basically, because we don't actually clean it out. And we don't, the only person that cleans it out is, the person who's posted it if they want to take it down.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, so it's just a kind of growing body of
Yeah,
travel
yeah.
videos. Yeah. So how do you think, moving forwards, with developments in how people plan their trips and how people plan their holidays, how do you think video is going to continue shaping, people's travel planning process?
Well, I think it's already happened, with huge, big time. I mean, TikTok now is like is the big one. Instagram was last year's model, this year's TikTok. Who knows what's coming next year? But it's all video, especially with Gen Z. I have to get my thingies right. But Gen Z is looking at TikTok, and making the plans, according to what they're seeing in TikTok, which is part of the reason why we actually accept and want TikTok videos on our site, because we're happy, for that age group. And it's not just that age group, because some of the older generation are now starting to do TikTok as well. But at least it's focusing in on one particular area, if you like. I mean, I don't know if you've used TikTok. I mean, I don't totally get it. If I open up TikTok and there's thousands of travel videos and I'll click, 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 flick, 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 not really of interest to me, or it is of interest and it's disappeared. It's 10 seconds and it's not enough, for me to grasp exactly what it's all about. Um, but I think if it's you've got everything together, and again we use let's just again for example Edinburgh. I want to go to Edinburgh. What is there to do? And there's a load of videos there from different people, whether they're advertisers, whether they're just people reviewing. But it's there to be watched and seen in your own time scale, again and again. And hopefully that is what will encourage people to actually make the bookings.
Yeah, and I mean also as well, what you were saying there about, the videos people are already making for social media. It's not like you would need to go and create a new separate video for the
No,
overseas info TV platform. I mean, you can just post a video you've already got, but it's going to have
oh,
greater
absolutely.
longevity on this
Yeah,
platform
yeah.
than it, yeah, elsewhere possibly.
I
Yeah.
mean, the one thing which I would love to be able to do, and we can't do it yet. I mean, I guess if we were hugely big like TikTok, Facebook, and these people might allow us to do a reverse sharing. At the moment, if people want to post on overseas or on social media, if they post on ours, you can link it to Facebook or Instagram or whatever, but you can't do it the reverse way around. But
Right.
I
Yeah.
guess we have to get a lot bigger before we can do that. So,
Well, I'm sure it will come. Now you've got before you started with Overseas Info TV, you had a very, very long career in sales and procurement. And I was just wondering how did your previous experience in the sales industry influence your approach to building Overseas Info TV?
that's a big question. But yeah, I mean, I had this thing, business, no matter what business you're in, there are certain parameters which cross each other. As a salesman, as a buyer, as somebody who sources product for people, it's about meeting people, interacting with people, uh, giving people what they want. Um, and I guess in some ways, that transferred itself or transposed itself, to overseas info. Uh, I want the site is hopefully giving people what they want in terms of information. It's not a product that we're selling as such. Uh, from the consumer's point of view, and can I make it easy for the hotels, for the industry to actually get out and reach their client base? Because reaching a client base is, that is what makes everything happen. The hotels need revenue, they need customers, tour guides, tour operators, they all need revenue and customers. Can we give that to them and make it easy for them? Because people have got limited time. And if you've got something which people can buy into, and I say buy into, it's not necessarily from a financial point of view, but if it's something that they can buy into, then you're making it easy for everybody to deliver, what the consumer wants, what the hotel wants, what the operator wants, um, and without charging an absolute fortune for it.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah, it makes
Um,
perfect sense.
So
And
I
I
was
mean,
saying, sorry to go back to what you asked me. The question is taking my own background in sales and marketing. What made it easy for me in the past, to be able to deliver, to make a sale, for example, was finding the right product for the right person and putting the two together, and then taking my profit out of it. So yeah, and it's much
I
the
mean,
same real with overseas info.
and it's also, it's clearly an innovative idea. And in your sales career, you also were responsible for one major, well, at least one major innovation, which was. And you want to
Yeah.
share with our viewers because I thought this was pretty
Yeah, I
cool.
can do if you like. And it's a at the time I didn't really think so much about it. But I used to be in the plastics industry, or polythene industry, which now is a taboo subject for obvious reasons. But in the, well, probably late 70s, early 80s, you know, carrier bags and plastic bags it was just massive numbers that were going out. And towards the end of the 80s, probably mid 80s, towards the end, there was a little bit of resistance to it. How can we stop giving away or destroying so much? There was a movement in the body shop, if you remember Anita Roddick. She was very much environmentally aware. And she introduced this idea of the biodegradable carrier bag, which was just absolute bullshit. But anyway, that's for by the by. Um, and I came up with the idea for a bag which was a reuse bag, um, for the supermarkets. Instead of giving away tens of free bags, they started to charge for them. But you had to make it a quality item, to make people want to pay for it. And in late 89, I got my first success with a supermarket called Budgeons. We were charging 10 pence, for the bag for, which eventually became what is now known as the bag for life. And that's 30 years that it's more than 30 years now since that was first launched. Um, a lot of people joined me in the marketplace. It wasn't a patentable product, but at the end of the day, I was the one that introduced it to the UK. So
I yeah, I think inventor of the reusable bag for life is a pretty good accolade. I think you should actually now have it on your LinkedIn profile as well.
yeah,
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool string to your bow anyway.
thank you.
Okay, let's get back to video.
Yep.
And the next question I wanted to ask you about video was this. Um, what you'll have seen lots of videos. I mean, we've all seen lots of travel videos, but you've probably seen more than most what with your involvement in overseas info TV. Um, in your opinion, what are the key elements that make a travel video effective and, most importantly, shareable?
I think natural is the most important. I mean, I've tried to do some of my own in the early days, which is still on the platform. And I suppose I'm guilty, like many, I would imagine, of trying to be clever and trying to do commentary and trying to make it, interesting. It's not. It's my voice is boring, but it's the video of what you actually see and what you actually do, which captures the imagination. Um, if you've got people, I don't know, let's say a ski resort, for example, I go down to a ski resort and I'm taking video of people skiing down the slopes and crashing into each other. To me, that's interesting. That's fun. I'd like to
Mhm.
do that as well. Uh, my wife and I went on a trip in December. We went on what is called the Dowie Express. It was a trip from Kars to Ankara. It was an overnight or 2 nights on the train. Um, and it was fun. And hopefully, my videos just this is the room basically. This is what we're doing. It's just fun. It's natural. And I think even if I look back to the early days of Instagram, if I'm not mistaken, uh, people were tarting up their videos. Trying to make them full blown fancy productions. Don't think it's necessary anymore. TikTok now is very much this is what we're doing and this is where we are having a great time. Finished. End of story. Don't need to be clever.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, of
and I mean they
course,
don't.
sorry, the reverse side to that is, of course, somebody like a hotel, and especially the major hotel chains, they're going to want full scale productions. This is logical. But if you've got, a small bed and breakfast, you haven't got that kind of money. But, this is the room. Wow, isn't it nice? And we're going to serve you breakfast here. This is what you got for breakfast. It tells me the whole story.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't. I mean, that's as they can. You can tell the whole story of a place, and it doesn't even need to be long, does it? It can be
No, no,
very
not at all.
convenient. Well, yeah.
Mhm. And if
Um,
people, sorry, I'm interrupt you, but if people want to, make it a little bit longer, there are certain editing tools, which are out there. And this I got from Ashley Griffiths, who you had on a couple of weeks ago as well. You know, there are editing tools, but he quite categorically, and I agree with him, says just go for it. Enjoy it, enjoy making it, and enjoy posting it. It's fun.
Absolutely. I think the easier you make it for yourself, the more likely you are to then post videos. If you start faffing around with editing, that's when it becomes time consuming, and that's when you
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
oh, I don't have time for this. Okay, just quickly to unfortunately, comments aren't showing up on my StreamYard. That sometimes happens, but I've got a lovely comment on my phone, which I'll read out from Esther Nakiaya. I hope I pronounced your name properly, Esther. I probably haven't. But anyway, hello, Esther. And she says, interesting talk for all who love strategic marketing. So thank
Thank
you,
you.
Esther. Yeah, do feel free to comment as well, everyone. I'm looking on my phone, so hopefully I'll catch your comments, even if they don't appear on my laptop screen here. Okay, moving on. I have another question for you again about videos, obviously. And this is a question, I suppose it's about quality control, really. Do you have any way of controlling the quality of the videos on your site, or are there moderators to make sure there isn't anything kind of dodgy on there? How does that work?
We have moderators who are at the moment, or it's done physically at the moment, because we don't have enough. There's not thousands and thousands of videos coming through. Um, but yeah, we do have physical moderators who are checking, the videos that are coming on each day. Obviously, if there's anything untoward, it will be taken down immediately. We do also ask some of our advertisers to check back on their own, pages that they've created, just to make sure that there's nothing there that is slanderous, libelous, or whatever it happens to be, or worse than that, obviously. So they are checked fairly frequently, and as time progresses, we will have to build something into the back end to be able to check out for anything which is untoward. I'm,
Okay.
fortunately, touch wood, up until now, we've had nothing. Um, it will 100% it will happen, and 99.9% it will be down as fast as it's up.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, that raises the interesting question as well, perhaps, of just, you've got a kind of global platform here. So you'll have, lots of different things coming from different cultural perspectives, maybe video in different languages as well. I mean, how do you begin to navigate that? I mean, how if you say somebody was posting, I don't know, maybe like a political demonstration or something like that that might offend somebody else in another part of the world. There's
For us
lots
at
of
the
stuff.
moment, that would be a hard. Yeah, for us at the moment, that would be a hard one. I would have to find somebody, with that language skill to be able to watch it and read it. It's not an impossibility. Obviously with a lot of the AI that's around just now, um, so we'd have to be careful. But that would put us to a bit more effort, but there's effort that would have to be done. There's no question.
Mhm,
Especially,
mhm.
there's so much going on in the Middle East, so we see at the moment, in other areas as well. If somebody wanted to try and put up a political thing, we'd have to make sure it was checked before, fairly quickly.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There is, as you say, a lot happening in the world at the moment. Um, let's talk a little bit about the impact of video content. I mean, is there any, I mean, how do you go about measuring the impact of video content on both the booking rates and user engagement as well?
User engagement, it was not just, well, the video content part of it is only a small part because obviously we've got the story part, there's comments and there's photographs as well. What we do give to all of our sponsored advertisers is click through rate. So we know
Mhm.
every day, every week, every month, what is the click through from having watched our site to what the click through is to their website. We can't then track the booking rate because that's up to them, to track that, from their side. But we know exactly, how many click throughs are coming from our site to their site, on a daily basis. Um, in some cases, it's very, very, very small numbers. In other cases, it's actually been quite surprisingly good. I mean, we have one hotel locally who jumped at the chance to be on the site, when I first took it to them. And it was interesting because it's part of a big, big chain, albeit I think I'll tell you, it's the Kempinski chain. And we thought, well, it's quite a nice one to have. And the local Kempinski bought into it immediately and they love it. And they're actually getting a lot of throughput from our site onto their website. But yet the other Kempinski hotels in the chain haven't even looked, I'm not interested. And you think,
Hmm.
why?
Yeah, that is strange, but
But,
that's good. That's interesting that they, because that was going to be one of my next questions, was asking you about
mm-hmm.
success stories. That would be
Yeah, yeah,
obviously a
yeah.
definite success story if they've seen such an increase in
Mm-hmm.
clicks through to their website.
And the thing is, we also
Um,
get our Google Analytics as well, which tells us what your numbers are, what the requests are, for information. But we don't just get it from Google; we're getting it from Yandex as well, which is actually a big part of our own customers market. Yandex is it's the Russian one, it's the Russian Google, from what I understand. Um, and one particular advertiser every week's getting about 6 or 7 inquiries from it. So doesn't sound big in the initial numbers, but he's happy for what he's paying. In a year, he's happy. So I assume he's
mhm.
taking the sales as well from it.
Absolutely. Well, that sounds really positive. Okay, I think we're down to our last question now. Unfortunately, time
Okay.
has flown as it always does.
Always
Um,
does with you.
what fu- what future developments are you planning for overseas info TV?
Well, we're well down the road now, and this is a very topical subject, which I think many companies are looking at, and that is artificial intelligence. Um, We met, or I met, through chance. I say through chance. But yeah, I make my own chances or my own luck. But I met somebody through LinkedIn who was involved with artificial intelligence, and we hit it off tremendously very, very early on in our conversation. And he's now and has been working for the last 3 or 4 weeks, on developing our artificial intelligence side, for the site. Um, what it means is, from our point of view, because we're not hugely populated at the moment, so I guess in some ways this could be off-putting for people, if they're searching overseas info, for information on what to do, where to go. Um, but there will be some kind of a chatbot type thing, on the site. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And you'll be able to type in, what it is exactly you're looking to do. The chatbot will then come up with a series of opportunities. Obviously, most importance will be given to our sponsored advertisers or to our own pages, so that people can see the videos, and if it's a sponsored advertiser, click through to them. But the other thing which will also be, form part of it, and I say this is because we're not heavily populated at the moment, there will be other things which have been highlighted through the artificial intelligence uh, of things to do, places to stay, places to go, so that we become, hopefully, slowly but surely, we can become the one-stop portal, for people to go to. To start, I want to see what there is to do there. I want to know what there is to do there. And if we haven't got it, they'll be featured. They'll get a list of things which are not necessarily on our site. Okay, it'll encourage them to make another search, but they've got somewhere to start from. Instead of starting from cold. Um,
Mhm.
Yeah, and as I say, hopefully as the site becomes more and more populated, there'll be less and less reliance on this. And
Mhm.
I know that as we progress further, the AI will become more sophisticated, which I think it is with everybody. Um, for me, their names, their titles, I haven't a clue what goes on in the background, but it's not important. But I knew what I wanted to get from it. And the guys, because the guys that I work with who are very much involved in overseas, between them with this guy in Serbia, believe it or not, um, have actually come up with well, to satisfy my desires, I suppose. So
Excellent. So we got that. So that will be, I mean, that's kind of in the
it should be
process
within the
of.
next I would imagine 4 to 6 weeks. I've already seen the what do they call it, the beta version. It's
Mhm.
not on the site yet, but once there's some minor things that need to be tweaked and done, but I guess within 4 to 6 weeks it should be up on the site as well.
Great.
Which again is
Not
probably
too
just
far.
during the holiday period. So yeah,
Well, yeah. So people are always planning holidays all year round, though. So
yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I suppose, yeah, you can be using the overseas info TV while you're on holiday. You know, what am I going to
Oh,
do today? So
absolutely,
it's
absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of things that we've got in the background, and and I've got in my mind, my partners and friends, colleagues have got in their mind. But there's a limit to what we can do. We have to grow step by step. Uh, we're not a rich company. We're not financed by anybody. So we have to make sure that it's coming out of my pocket and out of the business, as well. Um, so, it's not like, oh, there's £1 million, thank you very much, and let's just go and blow it. No, it has to be, yeah, practical.
okay. Well, I look forward, certainly, as I'm sure we all will, to seeing the developments of Overseas Info TV. And thank you for joining us today, Martin. It's been a really interesting talk, not just about the power and impact that video can have, but also very inspiring about how you can take an idea and develop it as you have done to bring something that I think will really make travel planning and holidays interesting and accessible for a lot of people. So thanks for coming and sharing today.
My pleasure. And I hope people enjoy this, using the site, and they will use it because we need everybody to become involved, to make it worthwhile for everybody. So
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure you won't mind saying this, Martin, but if you've watching this on replay later and you've got any questions for Martin, Martin, I'm sure you'll be happy, won't you, if people put
I'll be
comments
delighted.
underneath
Yeah,
the
yeah.
video or questions. And also from my own experience, I can say Martin's a really great person to connect with. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
do follow him on LinkedIn, as well as checking out Overseas Info TV. You won't regret it. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. And we'll see you on Tour Pro Talks next week. I always mean to be organised and tell you who's coming on next week. And I do know who's coming on next week, but I've not totally sure how to pronounce their surname, so I'm not going to say now, but I'll be publicising that later on this week. So thanks again, and thanks, Martin, and see you all next week. Goodbye.
Bye.